one and only suspect who was identified through victim and witnesses information was Thomas Johnston.
Oxford County Sheriff Wayne Gallant names News Center meteorologist Tom Johnston as the suspect in a sexual assault in Newry.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lee Goldberg.
And I'm Amanda Hill. Investigators say Johnston would be charged with gross sexual assault if he were still alive today.
Johnston was a meteorologist here for 3 years up until his suicide last month. News Center's Chris Rose live at the Oxford County Sheriff's Office in South Paris with the latest on this investigation. Chris?
Well, Lee, for the first time since this investigation began, a little more than a month ago, police have linked Tom Johnston to this crime, saying he was the one and only suspect. Investigators say an adult woman reported being sexually assaulted at a residence near Sunday River on Saturday night, April 1st, around 8:30. According to the criminal report, the woman reported she went to the house around 6 p.m. to take a nap. A group she had been with arrived at the house later. She said someone opened the door and she awoke to find Johnston under the covers with her.
We are confident that we had plenty of witnesses that we interviewed, and they all can confirm that Mr. Johnston was in fact at that building, and Mr. Johnston in fact was in the room where this crime occurred.
The report goes on to say the woman realized she had been unclothed while sleeping. Investigators say people in the house confronted Johnston, but he left the residence hastily. Now, investigators say they are not releasing the name of the victim, the witnesses, or the informants out of respect for their privacy. Now, we do know that Tom Johnston was at Sunday River on April 1st, Saturday. He was hosting a Spring Fest event. When he didn't return home, his girlfriend reported him missing on Monday, April 3rd. His body was found 3 days later in Auburn. Lee and Amanda?
Chris, there's been internet chatter, speculation about this since day one, and that's a lot different from fact. So as somebody who's been covering cases like this for over 30 years, can you just take us through the process as journalists, what we can report and when we're allowed to report it?
Well, Lee, for the most part, police agencies don't talk about ongoing investigations, and they don't talk about possible suspects either, unless they feel that the public is in grave danger or they need help from the public in trying to find someone. I've been working on this case for a few weeks now. It started out with a report of a sexual assault at a residence in Newry. The suspect fled and was later reported missing. Those were the facts that were laid out to us when this whole thing started. When pressed, the sheriff told us there was only one person reported missing from the Newry area around that time, and it was Tom Johnston. However, he said we have a report of a sexual assault. We have no evidence. We don't know if a crime has actually been committed. And to release the name of a possible perpetrator without even determining if a crime was indeed committed would be totally irresponsible. They went through the investigation, they talked to the witnesses, they corroborated stories, they put the evidence out there, and they determined that it's likely that a crime was committed, and if Tom Johnston was still alive, he would be charged with gross sexual assault. And that's what brought us here today, the first time that the Sheriff's Department is officially saying that he was a suspect in this case.
All right, Chris, thank you very much.
Now, it's been more than a month since the alleged victim reported this crime. The sheriff says it's taken a lot of time to piece together information due to the nature of the community.
Yep, he also says they don't believe there are any other victims.
Was this an isolated incident, or are you guys investigating whether there's any other victims, other suspects, anything like that?
In our investigation, we have not come up with any other victims or any other suspects, period.
Sheriff, it's now been more than a month since this happened. Is that the typical amount of time that it takes for an investigation like this?
Sometimes it can take longer, but I think in a case like this, you have to remember that the town of Newry and the town of Bethel are very transient populations all year round. A lot of visitors, a lot goes on at the mountain, and at any given time we can have an additional 20,000 people in the Bethel-Newry area. And when you start dealing with transient people, it's difficult finding witnesses, or we have to travel longer distance to be able to interview people.
Sheriff, other than the witnesses, was there other evidence that you found, any DNA linking him to this crime?
You'll see in the report that we did take some samples that we did send in for DNA. We do not have any results as of yet.
And Sheriff, just to confirm, between when this alleged incident happened and when his body was found, no one from the Sheriff's Office had any contact with him, either by phone or voicemail or in person? Correct.
That is correct. We had no other contact. It ended up with the Old Orchard Police Department and the Auburn Police Department, but we had no more contact after he left Newry on April 2nd.
And a follow-up, what about with his friends or family? Was anyone in contact with them who may have relayed a message to him that the Oxford County Sheriff's Office was looking for him in connection with this incident?
That we don't know. We haven't got any information that anybody contacted him at all.
You will find the entire press conference and supporting case documents on our website.
Johnston's sister, Deneen Murata, responded to the case against him via text to our media partners at New England Cable News today. She says, quote, "I think it's a disgrace that this is happening, especially because he is not here to defend himself. It's someone's word against a dead man. There has to be something illegal about that. Unfortunately, at this time, there isn't much I can do about that." End quote. Now, it is not illegal to announce someone as a suspect after their death. Let's look exactly with what investigators say Johnston would have been charged with, and that's gross sexual assault Class B. It can be found in Title 17A of the Maine Criminal Code, Section 253, subsection 2D. A person is guilty of gross sexual assault if that person engages in a sexual act with another person and the other person is unconscious or otherwise physically unable of resisting and has not consented to the sexual act. Violation of this paragraph is a Class B crime.
We also want to bring you a statement made by News Center President and General Manager Brian Cliff. It reads in part, "We are disturbed to learn this troubling information. We began looking into Tom's disappearance in early April. During today's Oxford County Sheriff's Office's news conference, we learned for the first time with everyone else that Tom would have been charged with a Class B gross sexual assault that happened on April 1st if he was still alive. We share in the community's shock, and our thoughts are with the victim and the families involved."
Again, the alleged victim in this case is not being named, which is standard procedure in sexual assault cases. Now, a lot of comments on our social media pages focus on what she might be going through at this time.
Jess Gagne took those comments to Sexual Assault Response Services of Southern Maine to get some answers.
This is a comment from one of our viewers that says, "If it's true about the sexual assault, I feel bad for the victim because this will traumatize them for a long time."
This is a traumatic, violent, horrible event. And one of the myths that surrounds sexual assault is this myth of false reporting. And actually, Jessica, only 2 to 8% of reported sexual assaults are false reporting. So it's really important for victims to be able to, and survivors to be able to have immediate and ongoing support after a trauma.
Another comment that came in from a viewer that said, "Can you imagine being in this woman's shoes while thousands of people are mourning the death of Tom? How does she feel?"
For any victim, it is hard to be believed oftentimes. And one of the things that it contributes to that is because of the status of the perpetrator within the community. So people say, oh, it couldn't possibly be so-and-so. Around the myths that we have to, and we continually try to come up against, is anyone who comes forward to talk about assault should be believed. It truly, and statistics bring that out, it should be believed and thoroughly investigated.
A few people who are commenting kind of in this vein of why even say anything about this, have a press conference that says, you know, this is what happened.
Closure is very individual to each survivor, and so that journey truly is something that one can't predict and is often outside any investigation. As to how this affects the victim, I certainly can't say. I certainly hope that this victim survivor continues to feel believed and continues to have the support that was clearly in evidence from the beginning of her reporting, and I hope follows through.
We want to take a moment to remind you that there are resources available to victims of sexual assault. It is not something anyone needs to go through alone. So the National Sexual Assault online hotline is 800-656-HOPE. That's 800-656-4673. The Maine Coalition Against Sexual Assault also has a 24-hour hotline. That number is 800-871-7741. Welcome back. We'll get to some other news tonight. Repeat opioid users will be expected to pay for emergency treatment if the governor gets his way.
Yeah, Governor LePage's bill calls for reimbursement of costs associated with drugs like Narcan, which are used to revive people who have overdosed on heroin and other opioids. First-time recipients would be exempt. The bill was sent to the House of Representatives this week.
Now, the vast majority of the folks weighing in on Facebook agree that Mainers who are revived by Narcan should have to pay for it. Ashley writes, cancer is a disease and patients are required to pay for their chemo treatments. So why shouldn't people be charged for Narcan since addiction is also a disease?
To help combat the opioid epidemic, people are searching for alternatives to using these pain medications, and now some students are learning techniques that could help with that.
Chris, you sat in on that class today, and according to a recent study, the techniques they're learning can significantly reduce pain without drugs.
Yeah, so it's a technique that's called neuromuscular skeletal intervention. It's students at the University of New England in the College of Osteopathic Medicine, and it's a process that actually helps retrain a person's muscles. Now, one of the nation's leading medical publications is backing this science. At times,
one more time.
it can look like a wrestling match.
Nice. You feel that? Yeah.
But these medical students at the University of New England
Breathe in.
are learning osteopathic manipulative medicine.
Any tenderness there.
First-year student Haley Pelletier says
I'm gonna percuss down.
it's literally a hands-on approach to retraining the muscles.
Because we get a lot of OMT just for free from being here. And I'll feel the next day and I'll feel a lot better.
Breathe easier now.
It actually works, and it's not like just some hokey thing.
The Journal of the American Medical Association recently released a study that shows patients report at least a 10% drop in pain after the therapy.
10% improvement can be really significant in somebody's life.
Doctors say the practice could replace opioids for people with chronic pain.
The pain level decreases enough that they can now go and participate in things that are going to recondition them and help them to feel better.
Right down the hall from the lab is the free clinic where the general public can come make an appointment and be seen by a student who's supervised by a physician.
Shoulder position.
Robert Spulik uses the service for his upper shoulders and back.
It relieves so much of it that it's so relaxing, and when you leave here, you're kind of ready to take a nap.
I think it's a tool that more people should take advantage of. Not just patients, but physicians.
Our biggest asset is our hands, because you can be anywhere and you have your hands, and that's like one of the best tools that we have.
So one of the things that's really cool about this is that all different types of practitioners can actually use this technique, whether you're a physical therapist or a chiropractor or a physician, and they can use it for a number of things, not just muscles. I mean, there are even physicians who can use this for somebody who has pneumonia. Actually, Jane Carrero was telling me about their doctors at Maine Med who have done that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's super interesting.
So the one thing is, though, you know, obviously you want to talk to your doctor first to make sure, to see if it's actually for you. I had a little bit of back pain, so I had to give it a try myself. That's Max Cohen. He's one of the med students there. And he actually performed one of the procedures on me. He had me cross my arms. He placed his arm under my back. And then kind of like that first shot you saw in the story, he was able to press it down, and I basically got rid of the knot that was in my back. And guess what? It was on my right side where I hold my camera.
Oh, of course.
So did you notice a difference?
Instantly. Yeah,
really?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, certainly not trying to just, you know, tout the program or anything like that. But yeah, I mean, and I'm a person who's really interested in the human body, so for me this was really interesting. But yeah, I mean, I felt kind of right away, just felt a little bit looser. So yeah, it's cool.
I've seen a chiropractor, and it's interesting. They talk about that you can crack different things. If you have a cold, even bones in your face, it's crazy.
So one of the other things too they talked about is that this is not necessarily you know, fast and cracking and so on and so forth. This is actually using the patient's body weight to help with this. So if you notice in a lot of those, they're lying down. So it's using the patient's body, not using force as much to make those things happen. So pretty cool.
Interesting. Thanks, Coco.
Yeah.
Hey, a couple from Maine is teaching their daughter about the importance of giving back to her community. That story is now continues.
Yeah.
We feel very blessed with what we have. So anytime we can give assistance or help out to people who are less fortunate, it's something that always kind of just hits that trigger for us.
When they saw an overwhelming need in their community, a Lewiston family wanted to help.
The Bullards talked to their 9-year-old daughter, Kaden, who loved the idea of bringing food to families whose own children may be going hungry. Now, news of Caden's Kitchen is slowly starting to spread through the city. In a small spare room,
You can take a couple, like 3.
Kevin Bullard and his daughter Caden pick from shelves of food.
Throughout the week and stuff, we just started buying extra items.
Caden's interest was piqued when she found out she might be able to help other kids in her community.
And just knowing and seeing the demand.
While shopping with her parents.
Then she would kind of randomly bring it back up to us, you know, and be like, hey, are we still going to do the food pantry thing? And then that kind of, you know, seeing her excitement and knowing, you know, we had the same excitement just really was an opportunity for us to come together as a family.
What they've created in this small room is Caden's Kitchen. If you need help, just ask. They'll pack up a box or 2 and bring it over.
Brought you a book, too.
And families on the other end
I hope you like your book.
certainly appreciate the help.
Before we moved here, like, we were homeless for like 10 months.
Thank you.
There's those. Oh, no problem.
So most food pantries, they're open in the morning. Our oldest daughter's at school right now. She gets on the bus at 8 o'clock. We wouldn't even be able to go.
Sean and Katie live a few miles from the nearest pantry. The care packages come with nutritious meals, but this family can also appreciate the treats.
Just like the little things that, you know, most people take for granted. It's like, you know, a package of $1 cookies, you know, put a smile on his face or something. So
For the Bullards, that's the payoff, along with the lessons their daughter has learned in her short 9 years.
I can't wait to see where her future brings her, just to see her now. And I know she's going to do big things.
By the way, if you're interested in learning more, you can find Caden's Kitchen on Facebook. It's spelled with a Z.
Good for her.
Yeah, really sweet that they're doing something like that.
So you didn't get to see her.
We didn't.
Oh yeah, we
There
had
it is.
technical difficulties. Now this is an eye test. Can you read the top line and the bottom line? It says Soco de Mayo. By the way, I got an eye exam recently, and it always shows me, I can't, you know when they say, is it this one or this one? Do you ever feel like that's a trick question?
Yeah.
Like they look
Yes.
exactly the same.
Yeah.
You're like,
Yes.
are they just messing
They're
with
messing
me,
with you.
or what's
Yes.
going on?
They're
Anywho,
testing you.
I hope you enjoy the next couple of hours.
Oh.
No, I don't want to
well,
discourage
Now we're
people.
down to hours.
Oh, yeah, yes.
We're down to
All
hours.
right.
The countdown is on because the rain is on the way. We got to 58 in Portland, 65 in Freiburg. What's interesting about some of these interior locations is we started in the upper 20s this morning. So we had a huge, what we call diurnal change between the morning lows and the afternoon highs. Here come some high, thin clouds, and some of those a little thicker across western Maine. On cue, I felt like the sunset would probably be pretty milky over the southern half of the state, and that's what's happening as these clouds come in. Take a look at this rainstorm. This thing is nasty, spinning just to the east of Memphis, just west there of Nashville is the center of that low. You can see it has a ton of moisture, and that's going to start moving towards us by tomorrow. The heaviest rain tomorrow afternoon and tomorrow night, and lasting through much of the day, unfortunately, on Saturday. So let's time this out. Clouds increase through tonight. A stray shower can't be ruled out, although most of them wait until tomorrow. Tomorrow afternoon, here comes the heavier rain. Tomorrow night, real heavy stuff, particularly along the coastline in down east Maine, mid-coastal Maine, seeing the heaviest precipitation. And you see more bands of rain pulling in on Saturday through Saturday afternoon before settling down on Sunday. Sunday's not a great day, but it's more of an upper level low day, meaning scattered showers, but also some peaks of sunshine in there through the day on Sunday. So it's the better of the 2 weekend days, but unfortunately neither of them are great. Here's a look at your rainfall totals that we're thinking about 2 inches or so, starting to paint in some pretty serious amounts over down east. We will have to watch this area for the possibility of some flooding. They'll be right on the borderline there. As has been advertised, that upper level low will then sit there for the next couple of days, all the way into mid to late next week. So what does that really mean? Well, I took a snowfall map and I changed it into an impact map. Over the next 10 days, this is kind of what it looks like. The wettest weather will be over northern Maine and down east. Showery weather will persist across the mountains, and the best chance of at least breaks of sun is southern coastal Maine. It's pretty bad when the best category is breaks of sun. But that's what we got. Scattered showers Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. More showers on Thursday. We talked about this before, Lee. It's like a Floridian forecast minus the warmth.
Okay, take this whiteboard and get out of
So
here.
that's special.
Goodbye.
Thriving under 30.
No.
I wasn't going to ask you. If so, the next person in our series might give you a run for your money.
News Center Zach Blanchard introduces us to our youngest thriving Mainer in this series, this time in Bangor. Hey, Zach.
Hey, Amanda and Lee. At just 25 years old, Courtney Hudgens is doing big things. As a real estate agent, she's often busy selling homes in the Bangor area. But she and her fiance also own several investment properties. Courtney grew up in Bangor and went to college at USM and was adamant about staying in Maine. After school, she chose to move back to Bangor because of the sense of community and got involved immediately in real estate and groups to help young professionals thrive. She's even the head of Tuesday Forum, the state's largest women's network. The latest project, she and her fiance Nick are even flipping their first house.
This is your definition of fun?
Yes, this is fun. We love it. It's so entertaining.
Coming back to the area, it just worked out really well for both me and my fiance to make it feel like home.
Now that couple is doing all this while still planning their wedding. So next time we still have one more person on our journey up in Holton, where we'll meet a young woman who always knew the county was home. Remember, you can see all of those we featured so far on the Thriving Under 30 section of our website. Lee and Amanda.
All right, Zach, thank you very much. Thriving over 30, it's Keith Carson. So, yes.
It's all of us, really.
Over 30. So you're the only one qualified to really speak about this story, Lee, but they did this interesting study in the Czech Republic in which they recorded babies in various forms of distress. So for one, they had to do blood work. So they recorded what the baby was doing when it was getting blood work. And then they put it in a place where it wasn't getting any touches, so the isolationist cry. And then they had another cry for, wet diaper, all these different cries. They play these cries back to parents to try to figure out if they could tell the difference between various forms of distress for these babies. And they were surprised to find the answer was no. They could tell the baby was in distress, obviously, but they couldn't tell the difference between actual physical pain cry, I want to be hugged cry, I need to be burped cry. Well, and I don't know if you know the answer, but were they hearing their own children crying or just strange children?
No.
Because I would say that for me that's true.
Yes.
If I hear another baby crying, I don't really know, but if my kid, I absolutely can tell you what my kids' cries are.
And that's an interesting point. It appears as though in order to get enough samples, they had to give them different children. They may have done their child as well, but they wanted to get several samples. What they did really well at is recognizing the play sound. Not happy, but play. They were over 70% effective on that, and they think that's because that's the babies actually wanting to interact the most.
I know what my dog's saying when he cries.
Okay, well, we're going to go. News Center 5:30 starts right now.